For the very first time, we're hearing from the families of two American teenagers accused of killing an Italian police officer. If convicted, Gabrielle Natale-Yorth and Finnegan Elder could face life in prison.
Both their fathers are currently in Rome and have visited their sons in prison. The suspects' mothers are also expected to travel to the country. CBS News correspondent Seth Doane has the latest from Rome.
Swarmed by media, Finnegan Elder's father, Ethan, arrived at the prison this morning, saying nothing.
Mr. Elder, can you tell us how you're feeling?
His son has confessed, investigators say, to killing Carabinieri officer Mario Cercello Rega, who was stabbed 11 times following a botched drug deal and extortion attempt, allegedly carried out by Elder and his former schoolmate, Gabrielle Natale-Yorth. Police say Elder stabbed the officer with this 7-inch-long military-grade knife, which he brought from the U.S. A photo apparently posted on social media and widely circulated shows Elder posing with a knife. Both teenagers had been drinking on the night of the killing, according to police, and at least one had also been doing drugs. The Carabinieri officer forgot his service weapon early Friday morning when he was called to investigate that alleged extortion attempt, in which police say the teens tried to get money and cocaine in exchange for a bag they'd stolen. Natale-Yorth's father visited him in prison Wednesday, writing afterward, "My meeting with Gabriel was emotional and hard for both of us," adding Gabriel never imagined there would be a confrontation and did not know his friend was armed. Outside the prison this morning, Natale-Yorth's lawyer told us his client is very young and very emotionally stressed. Authorities say both teens are responsible for the killing. In Italy, someone can be charged for murder if they were involved, regardless of whether the person carried out the slaying.
All right, Seth Doane is outside the prison in Rome where the suspects are both being held. So, Seth, everyone remembers the case of Amanda Knox. You do as well. You covered it. But we're getting another look here at the Italian justice system. Are there any similarities or are there differences that you can point to when it comes to this case?
Well, Vlad, there are both similarities and differences. This system here, legal system here, is an Anglo-Saxon system based on an adversarial system where you can get up, the defense and the prosecution can argue against each other in court. You also here have a presumption of innocence, as you do in the U.S. The differences really are more on the timeline. One of the things here, these two young men, these two teenagers have not yet been indicted, and legally they could have up to 18 months before they're indicted. We could expect it a little bit quicker, a little bit sooner in this case, but they have up to 18 months till we see actual indictments. And one of the other big differences here is in the appeals process. If you are found guilty here, you get an automatic appeal, whereas in the United States, you would need a reason for appeal. Here, that is an automatic for anyone getting a guilty verdict. So these trials, as certainly, as you recall, also in the Amanda Knox case, can drag on and on.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you've spoken to at least one lawyer of the accused. What are the fathers saying right now?
The fathers, what we saw yesterday after Natale-Yorth's father came into the prison here, that he said that was a very emotional meeting, very difficult for them. We've heard that quite a bit. One of the words we keep hearing actually from the lawyers in Italian is provato, which means emotionally stressed. That is a word, provato, we've heard almost every single day. Now, you saw Mr. Elder leaving today. There was that scrum, that horde of press around him trying to get him to talk. We've heard from the Elder family in statements through a family member, but we have not yet heard from Mr. Elder himself. We've been in regular contact, but so far they've just said, look, they're just not ready to sit down and talk on camera with American media.
And Seth, finally, have you at all heard from the victim's family? It's heartbreaking to know that this police officer, as I saw in your reporting, did not have his service weapon with him, although there are reports that it might not have mattered, but also that he was killed not very far from where he was just recently married.
Yeah, absolutely. He was killed early Friday morning, and he had been married 43 days before that. You might remember we were at his funeral earlier in the week in a suburb of Naples in his hometown, and there was just an outpouring of support. This was a man, a 35-year-old Carabinieri officer, newlywed, who was really loved within the community. even people who kind of tangentially knew him, people who weren't in the immediate family, but maybe we met several people, for instance, who volunteered with him. They would say every Tuesday or every Thursday we would go out and we would feed the homeless, or we would do something together. So a real sense of sorrow, certainly in that hometown, and that ripple effect across Italy here. And one of the, there are Americans everywhere, American tourists. I live here, I'm an American, but for the first time in the last couple of days, when I've mentioned American media, I've had people say, oh, we don't want to talk to Americans. So clearly some frustration and some sadness among some, and certainly in that suburb of Naples where that funeral was earlier this week.
Yeah, really heartbreaking. Seth, thank you very much. We appreciate it as always.